Okay, the fight over the debt limit is just getting started as a possible default looms large over Congress and President Biden. Yahoo Finance senior columnist Rick Newman following that story closely with Bidenomics. Rick, what is going to happen here? Will the president get a bill on his desk? Will anything get through the House?
Guys, I've tried to ignore this story all year to the extent possible until it seems like it really is time to start paying attention to it. And I'm afraid it does seem like it's time to start paying attention to it. And part of the reason is that the so-called X date, when the Treasury Department is literally going to run short of money and not be able to pay all of its bills, it could be looming sooner than we have anticipated. When the government hit the borrowing limit in January, most analysts figured that Treasury could get basically to late summer or maybe even early fall just by moving money around in different accounts before it really ran out of money. But something interesting has happened recently, which is it appears that federal tax receipts from the tax filing season are coming in lighter than expected. So the government is going to have less revenue coming in that it can use to pay bills, which means we're going to hit that debt X date sooner. Now, we're going to get some official data on that next week, but that's what the preliminary story is. It looks like we could hit this point as early as the middle of June. And if you look at what happened in 2011, which is the last time we really had a serious debt ceiling smackdown that caused some problems, it was within about a 6-week window of that X date that markets really started to get nervous. And that went very badly. They did end up raising the debt ceiling at the very last second back in 2011, but we got so close to defaulting that the S&P 500 stock index fell by 17%, and it took 6 months for it to bounce back. So there was real damage caused in 2011, and there's a chance that that could happen again this year. Nobody knows how this is going to get resolved. We know the Republicans put forth their own plan to raise the debt ceiling this week. Democrats who control the Senate are not going to agree with much of that plan. So it's kind of a little itty-bitty starting point. At least somebody's proposing something, but it's nowhere near a solution. So it could get uncomfortable and maybe even ugly within the next few weeks.
Rick, do you think Speaker McCarthy's plan, do you think it's even going to get enough support within the House to even get to that next level?
That's a great question. The thing to watch next week. So he's introduced the plan. That's step one. Now, Republicans who control the House with about a 5-vote majority, now they actually need to pass that bill if they're going to say to the Democrats who control the Senate, OK, this is our opening bid. Now you have to respond to this. So call it maybe 60% chance the Republicans will be able to pass that bill next week. If they do, then it puts Democrats a little bit on the defensive, suggesting that they may have to negotiate and make some concessions ultimately to get the borrowing limit raised. If Republicans cannot pass their plan, we're still at a big fat nowhere because Republicans won't agree to raise the borrowing limit. But if they can't pass their own plan, then they can't even tell the world what they will accept. So this could get more chaotic before it gets resolved, or we could get a step closer with the Republicans passing that in the House next week.
If the leadership fight was any indication, don't hold your breath on the Republicans agreeing on anything. Any chance this impacts Biden in 24?
Absolutely. So what Biden has tried to do all along is take a high road, basically say, look, we have our own plan to deal with, $32 trillion worth of national debt. Biden's plan is basically to raise taxes. And Republicans say no. So Biden is just sitting back and letting Republicans are the obstructionists here. So it's on the Republican Party to do two things. Number one, suggest a way out of this, since they're the ones who said they won't vote to raise the limit. And two, to try to get some political gain out of this. There's no evidence from these battles in the past that this has ever helped Republicans win a general election, and it has probably hurt them. They end up getting the blame for doing things like shutting down the government, which is a Republican thing, not a Democratic thing, and for trying to hold the economy hostage to demands over raising the debt limit and so forth. So it's kind of a political loser for them. It's a bit of a head scratcher why they're going down this road again in 2023 when they could be doing some other things. But look, they still have about 30 firebrand right-wing, hard-right conservatives who insist this is the right thing to do to get federal spending under control. And because Republicans only have a 5-seat majority in the House, those super right-wing Republicans basically have veto power over raising the borrowing limit. So it's not where the mainstream of Americans want to be, but it's where we are.
A showdown far from over. Rick Newman, always great to see you. Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys. You too.